In these videos, I'm going to go through some of the concepts in your textbook as we go through the lessons. You absolutely need to go through the textbook from start to finish for these lessons. I'm not covering all of the concepts by any means. What I'm going to do is just pick out a few that can be a little bit more difficult to understand just by reading, and to give those of you who learn best by watching a little bit of extra help. But if you don't go back and go through the lessons on your own, you're going to miss quite a bit of the content. So in this video, we're going to look at Chapter 1 and basically some of the items in setting up a website, creating a folder, and some files for your site. One of the things that the book does walk you through is how to set up your remote site settings, and we're not going to do that in this video. I'm going to do that in a second video after everybody has gotten their FTP access. But right now, what we're going to do is select a location for our website. A location for our website is literally a folder that we keep all of our site files in. Now, if you've just opened Dreamweaver and you're looking here on your file panel on the right, you're going to see just your computer and some locations on your computer. I'm going to make a folder on my desktop for the striped umbrella site that we're going to be building from week to week. So I'm going to just right click on my desktop icon and select new folder, and then I'm going to name this folder striped underscore umbrella and hit enter. Now that name for this folder is one without any spaces or special characters. That's why I use the underscore between the word striped and umbrella. And it's good to just pick a convention in terms of case to stick with. I prefer sticking with all lowercase letters all the time. It does make a difference on certain servers whether a letter is an uppercase or a lowercase. So if we just stick with all lowercase, no spaces, no special characters like ampersands, if we use only letters, numbers, underscores, you should be fine. Now, if I minimize this screen, what I'm going to see is that on my desktop, I now have a folder called Striped Umbrella, which is the one that I just created. So now back in Dreamweaver, the next step is for us to tell Dreamweaver that that striped underscore umbrella folder is where we want our site to live. So I'm going to do that by going up to Site, New Site, and I'm going to give my site a name, and I'm going to call it the striped umbrella. Now here you can use spaces or any characters you want, because this is not a website file or folder. It is just the name of the site so that we can find it later in Dreamweaver. The next box is the local site folder, and that is where we're going to select the folder that we just created, striped underscore umbrella. So I'm going to select the browse button and go to my desktop. That's where I created the folder. Find the folder here, choose it, and then I should see the path here to that folder, striped underscore umbrella. Now later on we're going to come back and set the server settings. Those are the FTP and remote server settings, but for right now this is what we need to do in order to create a website in Dreamweaver. Now if we look on the file panel now to the right, you'll see that it says the striped umbrella here in the drop down, and we see just one folder with nothing in it. That's exactly what we want to see. The reason for Dreamweaver creating these site definitions is because if you think about the way a web server works after you publish your files to it, after you publish your website to a web server, we put the files in what's called a root folder. The web server thinks that that folder is the only place that it can go. It doesn't go to any folders that are higher up in a hierarchy than that. The same is true on your local computer as far as Dreamweaver is concerned. So what Dreamweaver is doing is duplicating the folder environment of the web server where your site is going to reside later. The reason that's important is because the way web pages works is that you can you can link to other pages, you can link to images, and you do that by defining paths. If you have two different folder structures, then the path to a particular file is going to be different on your website, on the web server, than on your local site, and so you're going to run into trouble. So good rule of thumb and the best takeaway here is you define your site in a folder, and everything for your website, every site file image goes into that folder, and nothing else goes in there, and nothing goes outside of that folder. The next thing that the book asks you to do is to create a folder within your website. And they want you to call that folder Assets. And that folder is going to be the place where we're going to store all of our image files. The easiest way to do that is in your File panel. You can right-click on that folder and just create a new folder within it and call it Assets. And then when you click Return or Enter, you have your folder there. The next thing that we do in the book is we want to tell Dreamweaver where all our image files should go by default. Now, the reason that that's a helpful tool is because during this lesson, and just even when you're building any web pages, sometimes you find images that are located outside of your site folder. And if you remember what I said a moment ago, everything for your website should be in this folder. Now in this class we have data files that we have downloaded off of the internet or have come with your book, and we want to use some of those files, which are images, in our website. And we want to make sure that those images are always within our website, and to be organized we're going to make sure they always go into the Assets folder. So we're going to tell Dreamweaver that by default we want all images to go into this Assets folder, and it'll help us manage that task a bit. So in order to let Dreamweaver know that that is the default, we're going to go back to our Site menu, and this time we're going to Manage Sites, because we're going to manage the site that we've already created. And unless you've been using Dreamweaver for other sites, you're going to see just that one folder here. Make sure it's selected and then go down to this pencil icon to edit it. That'll bring up the Site Setup dialog box that we looked at before. But this time we're going to click on Advanced Settings. And in the Advanced Settings, the Local Info tab, the first item here is Default Images folder. And we're going to browse to that Assets folder within our site. And usually Dreamweaver is very good about opening up your site file first, so that you're always working within this site folder, so it should be easy to find. But select it and select Choose and then Save. So now we've told Dreamweaver that by default all of the images that we use in our site are going to be in this Assets folder. Next we're going to create our home page. Now in our data files there are a bunch of files that are HTML files that we use as starting points for our lessons. If we are looking in your book on 1-30, it says to open the file called DW1-2.html from the drive and folder where you store your data files. So to do that, you're just going to go to File, Open, and you may be in your striped umbrella folder, so you may have to browse to where your data files are. Now I've created my data files in a folder on my desktop, in a folder called Data Files, and I'm going to browse to my Dreamweaver data files. It's located in Chapter 1, and I'm looking for DW_2.html. I'm going to select it and click Open, and it's going to open that file in Dreamweaver for me. Now I'm in Code View, so let me quickly switch over to Design View. It usually remembers the last view that you had, and I must have been using that for something else. Right, so now I'm in Design View, and this is what you should be seeing. This is the data file that was given to us with the book. And we're going to save this file as our home page. And home pages are typically called index.html. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and then I'm going to save this as index instead of DW1_2. Now the important thing here is to make sure that you're saving it in your site folder. So I'm on a Mac, so it's asking me where. If you're on a PC, you'll see the location bar. Make sure that you select the striped umbrella folder that you created for your class. Now mine is on my desktop. I can browse to my desktop and find it there, or I can see it in my recent places on a Mac. But however you get to it, you want to save it in your striped umbrella folder and then click Save. Now here where it says Update Links, we're going to say no. And the reason for that is because of this image up at the top. If we had said yes, then the HTML for this image would link back to that data file folder, which we don't want to do because that data file folder is not going to be on the web server. That's the first reason. And the second reason is we said before that all of our files for our site need to be in our striped umbrella folder. We don't want anything that we're using to be in the data file folder ever. So we're going to say no right now, and that's why we have a broken link. So we're going to fix that by selecting the broken link. And then if we go down to our Properties menu, where it says Source, we're going to go to the Browse for File icon here, and we're going to find that particular image in our data files. So in order to do that, you're going to have to go back up to your desktop or wherever you have your data files stored and find that file for that banner image. So I'm going to go into my data files, Dreamweaver. It's in my Chapter 1 folder, and it's in Assets, and it's called subanner.gif. Now when I click Open, and then click off of that image, I should see the image appear. And because we defined that Assets folder as our default Images folder, if you look in the Site panel, you'll see that that image now has been copied into my Assets folder in my site, which is exactly what you want. So now this image file is in my striped umbrella folder, just like we want it to be. The next step in the lesson is to start to add pages to your website. So in order to do that, we're simply going to right-click on the Site folder, not on the Assets folder, because we want to create these pages here in the Site folder. I'm going to right-click on that, and I'm just going to select New File, and this time I'm going to name this file about_us. Just like it says to in the book. It should put in the HTML for us, but if not, you want to add that, it should automatically add that for you. And now we have a second page called About Us. And then we're going to continue and add spa, cafe, activity, cruises, and fishing to our site as well. So I've gone ahead and added those pages. If you're adding them and you're not seeing them show up on your file panel, this little icon here with the circles, if you click that, will refresh. You can go ahead and open one and see what it looks like. They're just simply blank pages with nothing on them. I saw something here, but I might have accidentally typed something on it before, but they should be for you just blank pages. You can go ahead and close all the files that you've opened. Everything you've done should be saved. If you go up to File, you can do Close All, or you can close them just by clicking the little X up in the tab.